Today on Here for the Right Reasons, Nick Viall is dishing on his latest appearance on this season of The Bachelorette.
Yeah, when I talk to the guys, I definitely, you could say, like, scared them a little bit in the sense of, I do get DMs every season.
Plus, we sat down with Bachelorette alum Fedotowsky, who revealed the last time she spoke with her ex, Roberto.
Once in a great while, like every couple years, I feel like we'll send each other a text or something. It's been a while.
Then Desire Hartsock is finally talking about that infamous hometown date with her brother.
I don't know. It's very interesting how it all played out.
We've got that plus so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hi guys, Mandy DeCamp here with Sarah Huron. Welcome to Here for the Right Reasons. How are you, Sarah?
I mean, so much to talk about as always. I feel like this episode was a lot to take in.
It is. It's, you know, my mom actually watched it with me last night and she hates the show, to be honest. And she was like talking through the whole episode, like had commentary on everything. I was like, I'm writing this down. This is good.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, we either go from like the most dramatic thing, cheesy ever, to like deep and dark. So it's hard to find balance on this show and this episode, but people seem to really like it on Twitter. People were liking that they were going there. So
yeah, they're definitely changing things up or trying to. You know, it's still like got the same basic structure. Yeah, but they're definitely trying out new dates. I mean, I know they can't travel right now, but they're getting creative for sure.
I totally agree.
So I know you sat down with Nick Viall, who obviously was the star of last night's episode.
Yes, you know, you got to have your former Bachelor and Bachelorettes come back to either give wisdom, host a date, and, you know, who better than Nick to get these guys to just confess their secrets instead of their exes, you know, going on Instagram or TikTok to try to expose them. Nick got them to just tell him right then and there with his little clipboard, right? So we had to ask him what we didn't see, what he thought of all the confessions. So here's my chat with Nick.
The two things I thought of when this date was airing was, one, Nick was definitely involved in the conception of this date and why it happened. And two was this felt like trying to give them a chance to maybe expose themselves before their ex or whoever decides to try to expose them themselves. Is that fair?
100%. Yeah. Again, it's a collaborative effort. So like we discussed it together, and, you know, we definitely worked together on the creative. It certainly wasn't just me. And yeah, when I talk to the guys, I definitely, you could say, like, scared them a little bit in the sense of I do get DMs every season from exes.
As
and I ignore them, you know, like, because it's mostly nonsense, right? But the point is, this stuff always comes out, right? And what a better feeling to have Katie hear it from you. It's so much better to say, hey, I'm just gonna own who I am. I mean, I still stand by Jed on Hannah Brown's season. Storyline could have gone so much differently had he simply showed up and got caught off guard. I genuinely believe that Jed really fell for Hannah Brown.
Yeah.
But at the moment when he fell for her, he decided to lie to himself and lie to producers and lie to Hannah, as opposed to just, you know, maybe pulling a producer inside and like,
there's going to be this girl.
I don't know what to do. And Hannah really liked Jed, so they would have tried to help him out, right? And that storyline could have gone so much different had Jed just owned who he was. And sorry, Jeff's getting into a little bit of trouble. And so it was just setting that example with the guys, and I just kept stressing, like, and I was never gonna like say anything, you know, I was never gonna out them, but I just said, Katie needs to hear it from you, not me, not anyone else. You know, be the man you say you guys are, and just own whatever it is, because and it played out the way, you know, I hoped, is that these guys had some real fears. I mean, Connor B was the whole time, you could tell. I was just like, oh man, he was to my right. He was crying the whole time in that blouse that he was wearing, and
that was rough. The blouse was rough.
I was like, oh man, he definitely he came back strong at the night portion with the all black, and he really made up for it. And he's a sweet guy. But you know, there's some real fears with honesty, but it's just such a strong lesson that if you just people just want to know that you'll be honest with them. no one's ever asking or expecting perfect. And we always make the mistake of sugarcoating things. And when you're just like, hey, by the way, like I definitely sucked in this moment. And this is what I learned. People are so, they're not only attracted to that, they're just so refreshed by that. It really is a freeing thing. And so it was good that the guys really embraced that, and they definitely stepped up. Thomas not so much, but
we'll get to that.
All right. So what did you think about this date? I mean, they're definitely going in a different direction. Like I said, they're trying to get things super serious. And like you said, this is stuff that probably would have come out anyway down the road. So why not just throw it all out there?
It really was interesting. Like if I was that guy, I'm just surprised it worked. Like if I was sitting in that circle, I don't think I'd be the first one to crack and say like the thing I didn't want anyone to know in front of all the guys, in front of Nick Viall, in front of Katie, and of course in front of the show. But even in general, like on the one-on-ones, you can pretend you're like in an intimate moment. This was like group therapy for guys that you don't really know. Half of them probably don't even like each other.
No, I know. What I also thought was like, what about the people who didn't have to go on this date? That's not fair.
It's almost like a because it went so well and Katie was like so into it, and we found out a lot about her too. Yeah, that is kind of a disadvantage to not be there and share that moment.
Right. And I don't know. All of these conversations should have been private conversations, in my opinion. But it did kind of work, and it did expose so much at such a high speed. I was like, and they don't think they were having alcohol.
No, I think that was a sober circle. It felt like an AA meeting a little bit, or like a confession, like a combination. But then they bonded with each other too. So it almost like a retreat. I don't even know. There was just a lot going on. And I couldn't believe that was the whole thing, was they just like sat in the circle. So I don't know. I think that it's just showing us even more so that Katie is, in control. She wanted to get deep. She was down to, do the like sex date last week and be silly and fun. And that's a part of her, but there is a part of her who probably really wanted, to show certain things and talk about certain things on the show. And it seems like they worked with her on it, because we didn't see a lot of stuff like this. Tasha a little bit last year, and people responded well to that too. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. I don't know.
And they also, like we said, they can't travel right now still with all the COVID precautions. So producers have to get creative with these dates, and they certainly are.
Absolutely.
But, okay. So before we get to the rest of last night's episode, you also sat down with Fedotowsky, right? So she revealed the last time she spoke to her ex-fiance, Roberto. Let's hear.
Did you hear from Roberto at all after the season aired again?
I don't know. Let me look at my phone.
A live chat.
My text messages.
Because I know Frank did an interview with the show, but I know he kind of was MIA.
Yeah. We did.
Oh.
Yeah, I just wrote him and said I respect his decision not to be on the show, because he decided not to be, and just said I hope everything's going well. And he just wrote back and said, yeah, I'll never forget it. It was a special time for me, but I'm sort of doing my own thing. So yeah, we did.
That's so cute.
We once in a great while, like every couple years, I feel like we'll send each other a text or something. It's been a while, but when the show re-aired, that was the last time. And I'm still friends with his dad on Facebook. There's no animosity there or anything. And his dad actually the other day posted a picture of him and his brother. I'm like, oh, he looks good. I hope he's doing well.
I feel like the Bachelor breakups keep getting messier and messier. So you're lucky that you have a normal
I know.
I always love talking to Allie. I think she is so thoughtful and fun, and was a great Bachelorette and had a great season of the show. And the Roberto of it all, it's just so interesting. It was that greatest seasons ever thing they did last year. The best part was seeing who wanted to participate and who did not answer the call, assuming that they got one because they won the show or were an ex or whatever. And I love that Allie just pulled up her phone and literally read her text with Roberto.
I know. She's like, oh, let me see you last time. And I love that, she's still friends with his dad on Facebook. It's a very real life relationship. That's what happens after you break up with someone. It's like, do you defriend their family? Do you not?
Yeah. No, literally. And it's like how messy did things get? And back then you get a little bit less room. There was not quite as many accusations always flying around, unless you were like Jake and Vienna going on TV doing it. Cause it was more so there wasn't as much social media stuff. So I think that really helped them have a clean break. So it was always nice to hear that.
I agree. And I always love Allie too. She always is open to answer anything about the show. And I love that she was just like, yeah, let me pull up my phone and see.
So good.
Yeah. You also sat down with Desiree this week. You sat down with a lot of people this week.
All the former Bachelor and Bachelorettes, they were just available. They answered the call.
Yeah, I love it. And she spoke about that infamous hometown date with her brother, who we I think I still remember it. So let's see what she said really happened.
Your brother, infamous in Bachelor Nation. As you referred to in the book, the worst hometown dates ever, the story that was written. I asked you to mention there wasn't a lot of, you didn't communicate that much in between the seasons. Then he was on your season.
Oh, not at all.
The Bachelorette. I mean, what was that like to navigate in real life with like your family and your brother, but also, the show and everything that happened with Sean? It's like crazy to me.
I know. Yeah. I mean, even before going on to Sean's season, I barely talked to my brother. I moved away when I was 18. So I just was always away from my family. Me and my brother were always super close. And then I go on the show and I'm like, oh my God, he's going to be coming on the show. Same with my parents, really. I hadn't seen them in a few years just because of,
location.
Stuff. Just location. Yeah, they were across the country. But yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting how it all played out. I was not expecting that on Sean's season. I was not expecting that. I didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't expecting that. And so that kind of threw me for a loop. And then when I had to see him again before the top 4, it's just kind of, I think I always get nervous because he does have a different perspective, and he did have an outside perspective. Not that he knew me by any chance, by any means, but he also was more of a skeptical eye in general.
Right.
So I think more than anything, I was just nervous about what he would say because I didn't want it to contradict how I was feeling.
Do you have any thoughts about him reading this, or
No. I mean, we talk obviously now, but no, I mean, it's his childhood too, and so I tried to give him some voice there and how he may have been feeling during childhood or all of that. Yeah, because it's not a book. Yeah, it's not a book to bash. More just give light, I think, to how everything went down.
Oh man. So Desiree has a book out called The Road to Roses. It's out today, actually. I had a chance to read it, and there's a lot of little nuggets in there for Bachelor people. She was obviously on Sean Lowe's season, and we got to know a little bit about her then, and she talked a little bit about, how she didn't grow up maybe with a lot of money, and she gets into that in the book too. Her and her brother had a little bit of a tumultuous relationship even as kids, partly from that and everything they went through. And then obviously on that hometown date, we saw, him just tell Sean that thought he was a player, he hates the show. And then Des went on to be the Bachelorette. So it was just so interesting that her family clearly didn't really understand what she was doing. It wasn't necessarily for it, specifically her brother, but she ended up finding her husband. She's still with Chris. They have 2 kids. It's bizarre how that works out.
It is. If I'm being honest, I was surprised Desiree and Chris are still together. I think now they're in it to win it. I think because they have kids and everything, but at first I was because again, Chris was kind of in the background on her season, so I was surprised. But I still remember that family date. And I also I was surprised that she told you, and I guess it was in the book, that she hadn't spoken to her family for a few years before that hometown date. Was that right?
Yeah, so basically they just were the distance because she moved to LA and they weren't really regularly seeing each other. And then they came on the hometown date on Sean Lowe's season. I think she talked to her parents, not so much her brother. And then she didn't talk to her brother at all before they showed up before they called him in for her season of The Bachelorette. So, I mean, quick turnaround, but still they ended on this sour note. And I think she kind of just has the mindset of family's family, they'll always be her family, but they're not necessarily, and they think it's better now, but it's just it was interesting. And the book definitely gave you little nuggets it's almost like a diary kind of what she was really thinking, but they were totally one of those couples. It's almost like I'm always wrong because I thought Jordan and JoJo, there's no way. Now they're my favorite couple. They're so cute, obsessed with them. Yeah. Des and Chris, it was all they made it seem like is she liked Brooks, which she goes into the book a lot. Yeah. I mean, I thought Caitlyn and Sean Booth were endgame, so I don't know what's going on.
Still think about that golden retriever.
I know. So you never know what's really going on. That's the lesson here, I guess.
Yeah. Fun fact about Desiree's season, I had gone to Atlantic City with my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, when we were first dating. And I look out our hotel window and I see 10 guys with a camera crew with V-neck neon t-shirts. And I was I think the Bachelorette's here. I think they're shooting the Bachelorette. it was Desiree's season. They were shooting at my hotel, just happened to be there. And I was like trying not to fangirl because I was newly dating my then boyfriend, husband now.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm going to need to stalk them all weekend. And like our whole vacation was then Bachelorette centered.
That is so good. Did you get to like see it really film?
Oh yeah. I mean, you could literally see it from our hotel room. So I was like watching, and then all the producers were in the bar with us at night. I forget, it was either Harrah's or Revel. I can't remember which hotel it was, but all the producers were like at the bar with us, and I so desperately wanted to like be like, I'm your big fan, tell me everything, but I totally chickened out. And I also didn't want to seem like it was, if it was now, I would have been like, all right, Jeffrey, I'll see you in a few days. Yeah. I'm going to hang out with these Bachelor producers.
Yeah, I'm joining the cast of The Bachelor. I'm the crew now. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was a fun time. And then we ended up watching the season together, and we're still together. So it all worked out. But
so it's your own version of a Bachelor love story.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's get into last night's episode. Buzzwords. What were your Bachelor buzzwords? What summed up the night for you?
My first one was deep, obviously, which we kind of just touched on. That date really went there. And my other one was unionize, because that's what the general social media consensus was of what these guys were doing when they sent home Carl, and then they were trying to send home Thomas, which part of me loved it. And I thought, like, when Mike at the rose ceremony was like, we as a group have decided that Thomas is just not here for the right reasons, and we want you to know. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
But then, and I don't even like Thomas, obviously. No. But then when they were doing it again at the end, I was like, you don't have the power, dudes. Like, this is your season. So we got to tread lightly here with the union and the demanding of the rules and the kicking people out, because this isn't Survivor. You don't vote people out. She does.
Exactly. It's so true. It was like Survivor. I wrote down when Mike P said, we come together in solidarity. And I'm like, all right. Like, let's calm down. Also, like, how did she wasn't going to send Carl home? Like, hello.
And maybe I wonder, because I assume the producers were kind of probably telling her to keep around Carl. Then she's got the guys making this declaration. Like, I hope Katie's going to do what Katie wants to do, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people telling her what to do all of a sudden.
I agree. So I had band together, basically the same thing that you did. And then feelings. It was just so many feelings. And some good, some bad. Some I was like, all right, let's move on. But yeah, we got to know them better. So it was good.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our thirstiest moment of the night. There's always a bunch. I mean, what was yours? We might have the same one.
It's probably Thomas talking about how he knew that he might get a platform from this show. And how he went on a date, I think it was 2 weeks before they started filming, which I'm like, is that even COVID friendly? Is that allowed?
True.
But,
True.
But yeah, I mean, just Thomas in general, everything about him. But the other part of me liked that he had said all this, because the truth is probably 75% of the guys are there for some kind of platform. They might be there to also find love.
Yeah.
They're also thinking, hey, I might get a deal with, some sponsor after this that I could quit my day job and do that. Obviously they're all thinking that. And it is kind of like the fourth wall that people talk about.
Yeah.
Or aren't supposed to talk about on these shows, but it's important. I think it's so there now. It's so like prevalent that I think it's important that he said it, but he's also the thirstiest.
Yeah, he's definitely the thirstiest. I don't know how I feel about that, because I totally agree with you. I mean, everyone in that room is, they're there for several reasons. Potentially Katie, potentially, getting success after this, being the Bachelor, going on Bachelor in Paradise, getting money. I think that that's kind of like an unwritten rule. It's like everybody knows that now. But the way he said it, like, I don't think he did a good job explaining it. No. And it also just kind of gave me like Jed vibes. And it's like, we watched someone admit this already and it didn't go so well. So if I were him, I would have tried to come up with something else, like maybe just like the fear of coming on here, and not so much so like, I kind of want a platform. Like, I don't know. He just went about it weird.
He went about it weird. And it was also like, get to the point. What are you talking about? Yeah.
And my other thirsty moment would revolve him, and would be when he like danced around saying I love you and about buying a house or something. Like, that whole monologue he gave during like the night portion made no sense, and it was all BS. He was just trying to like get her to like love him, which it kind of worked, which made me sad.
I'm like, what week are we? And the L word is being tossed around. This is
And
not okay.
Why did he lie to about, he didn't actually, I thought I missed him saying it because he told the guys he did, but he more so just talked about like fear and love and cliches. And then he was like, where do you want to live? I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, he's very confused. He doesn't know how to actually speak.
Yeah, he just kept digging himself holes with everything he said.
Yeah.
She was like into him. It was kind of scary.
She what?
She was a little into him though. It scared me a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, if you remember last week, I was like, I thought Thomas was going to be in the top 3, but I take it back. I take it fully back.
Takes it back. We have the power to take back any predictions at any time.
We do. Yes, we do. And it's so scary how wrong we can be sometimes.
Absolutely.
All right. What was your cringe of the night?
My cringe of the night was everything with Carl when he was like punching the wall, the air to get pumped up. And then that awkward goodbye when they just didn't hug him and he was looking back. And I think he was waiting for Katie to like acknowledge him. And she just kept looking forward. I feel like that was probably even more awkward in person and it made me cringe. What about you?
I definitely cringed during that. So this is, it's a hard cringe, but Hunter with the 2 kids during his confession during that date, it made me cringe a little bit. It's hard for me when people have kids and go on the show.
Yeah.
Because you have to think about that decision if you have kids, like I don't like leaving my daughter for one night. So it's like, you're going on this show. You probably don't have your cell phone most of the day.
Yeah.
You aren't seeing your kids. And it's a cringe for me. I just feel like, and I just don't like him that much.
I don't really like him either. I think that when he was crying, I believed that he was like getting emotional and probably didn't, probably felt uncomfortable talking about this. And, like they said, we appreciate your honesty, all that. But yeah, that was a weird one. And I didn't know he had kids and it felt like a kind of an interesting time for this all to come out. And yeah, the kids thing is always interesting because I don't want to, they know what's going on and I don't know how long they're actually gone and all that stuff. But it's always bizarre also as a lead where it's like, would I necessarily want to be with someone who I don't know, it's an interesting one. And that was the confessions also, it was just cringe because there were so many different levels. Like you had some people telling really deep stories and other people probably just trying to come up with something, and that's a lot of
right.
Like drama.
Well, I know. I'm like, what would I have said? I don't know. So my second cringe was Catman Connor, who one of my favorites, but his whole blackout story, where he used to go to bars and play music and then he blacked out and he cheated on his girlfriend. I just felt like, okay, that's not that big of a deal. Like, I don't really know. I wasn't there. Maybe he blacked out every week. I don't know. But it's not good to cheat. I'm not saying that, but like it just felt like I used to get drunk all the time. Like that's my confession. But then also I'm like, he's a math teacher for kids. Like he has to live with this now.
Yeah. I didn't know where that story was going. It was almost like it was set up that I thought it was going to, not that like you said, getting blacked out drunk and cheating on your girlfriend is not great. Not someone I, want to be married to. But I thought maybe it was going to be worse, like drunk driving or something. Cause the way he was talking, I was like, oh, where is this going? Like, I don't know if he should be saying this right now. Like I was getting very nervous with the storytelling. Yeah. I don't know. That whole thing was just, it was slightly bizarre, but also like what people want to see. They want like real life confessions and they like when the show gets dark and deep. So I just think we need a better balance. I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah. I do feel like they were like, you always like lead up to those moments towards the end of the season where someone does a confession on a date. They were like, let's just do them all at once in a circle and see what happens. And
it's also funny because usually it's like whoever does that gets the rose, or like you almost feel like it's like their like last ditch effort. Like, okay, well, I'm going to say this. I can't not get the rose. But it was like, oh, they all have to use all their best material on week 3.
Yeah. Now what?
I don't know what's going to happen now. Did you have a best one-liner?
Yes. It went to Aaron, who still the jury's out on Aaron. I don't know if we like him or not. But when he said, how is he grinning like a clown from a Stephen King novel? And it was about Thomas and Thomas's confession. And during Thomas's confession thing, he was like smiling the whole time, like a total creep. Yeah. So I love that. He summed it up well.
I agree. That was a good one. I'm going to give it up to Michael A., who got the one-on-one. And he also has a kid. We learned about his late wife. That was like so sad story. You know, so happened so fast. It felt like for their family, that's horrible, had breast cancer. But him and Katie, they got something. I don't know if it's love, but they certainly have a strong connection. And he had all the lines, including what a gift to be able to fall in love twice. This begins at an engagement. You know, he seems very ready to put himself all in on Katie. And, you know, you have to worry about that just because it might not end well, since there are several men still in the show. But it felt genuine and endearing. It seemed like the internet was very much all in on Michael.
I loved Michael. He got my rose this week. My problem with Michael is I feel like he's super genuine and I don't know if he's right for the show. Which, hear me out.
Like, he seemed a little green.
He seemed like not someone you would normally see on the show. And in real life, I feel like it might work out. On the show, I just don't know if this is the right environment for him. And I also felt like it might be too soon for him. I think his wife passed in 2019. It was a heartbreaking story. I think Katie did connect with him, but I also don't want her to keep him around to like final 3 if she's not that into him, because I feel like it could really break his heart and he is away from his kid. So I would tread lightly with him. I just feel like, I don't know if this is the right platform for him to find love.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was, it's gonna be a hard goodbye if he's not the winner. I think for people watching, for Michael, for Katie, a lot of emotions thrown in there very quickly. That always also, I'm like, how do they love each other already? Whatever. We just have to suspend belief there and go with it, because he didn't say I was in love with you, but I mean, he was definitely saying things, you know, leading up to that. Like, you might be the first person I can, you know, fall in love with after my wife and stuff, and it's a lot.
I'm like, his heart, I'm so scared. I just feel like if she's not feeling it with him, I hope she tells him like privately next week, I like you, but I don't see this and I don't want to keep you from your kid. I don't want to have your heart broken. So we'll see where that one goes.
For my rose, I did want to just, you know, give a little shout out to Greg, who I still think is the front runner, because
last night
he was only the first rose ceremony. He was the one who went to go comfort her.
Oh, right. Okay.
So they showed him then, but that was it. And I was like, that is telling, because I don't know if other guys went in there, but he was one of the ones who went in there, and, you know, he's kind of like shy and he went in there to check on her. And I thought that was very much a like, all right, don't count out Greg yet. But I also feel like Connor got the group date rose, and she is really into him still, and like his confessions up. And I feel like those are just 2 guys who I'm sticking with from the beginning. For now, again, I think
those are still top 2 for me too.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like the other guys, there was like connections and stuff, but there was still just like something a little off about it. And those 2 seemed like the most natural, and like her like wanting to talk to them the most. I
also think Michael P, the virgin, I could see him as the next Bachelor.
Really?
Yeah, I was just thinking.
You want to go down that road again, Virgin Bachelor?
Yeah, Virgin Bachelor. I'm into it.
Okay.
I mean, well, maybe he won't be a virgin after the season. We'll see.
Oh, true. Wouldn't that be something?
Although I think he said saving for marriage, not the fantasy suite. So
everyone has different dreams and goals and aspirations.
But yeah, maybe that's my prediction this week. Okay, so pack your bags. Who are you sending home?
I'm sending home Aaron. I'm sorry. You know, there's a lot of guys involved in the drama, so you can't just blame him, but he seems to be the common denominator on my end. It's like everywhere we go, this guy is either commentating or calling someone out, and I just feel like he's in too deep, and he's not gonna end up with Katie. He's not there for her. He's just involved in everything, even if there was a genuine connection with them at some point. It's too far gone. He's annoying. I prefer someone like Justin, who has the funniest facial expressions during it. Why can't he be like our narrator of everything versus Aaron is just getting too much screen time, and I need him to leave.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron, the only reason I like him to stick around is because he is giving us all that commentary. So I'm like, who's going to do it if he's not here? But maybe Justin. But my pack your bags is for the L word. Like, pack your bags. We're not saying love until like the final episode. Okay. I'm so sick of that. You're not in love yet. It's like day 2.
When did that shift? Was it like Luke P on Hannah Brown season saying stand up, or was it earlier?
Maybe it was that. I mean, I feel like which one? who told two people that they love them? Was it?
Yeah, Ben Higgins telling JoJo and Lauren he loved them because the lead never used to say it back, or we just never saw them say it back, which Ben has hinted to me before. He's like, I think they were just like showed me saying it and didn't show other people. Who knows?
True.
But yeah, there was definitely, after Ben did that whole like culture around that word on the show also changed a little bit. I think it became
I feel like it became more of a thing. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not ready for that word yet here. And then also I gave my rose to Michael, the dad who lost his wife. I also want him to pack his bags. Like I said, I'm worried about him.
You want them to pull a Clarendale and leave, or have him just leave alone?
No, I want her to send him home if she doesn't feel it.
But she gave that whole thing. This rose is for you and James. They were both saying all the nice things to each other.
Yeah.
So maybe it's real.
Maybe it's real. We'll see. It'll play out in the next few episodes, I think. And then also, I'm not telling them to pack their bags, but Caitlyn and Tayshia, like, they need to like step it up or something. And I don't think it's them. I think it's the producers. I just want them. I want to see them more. I want them to do more. And I feel like we're barely seeing them. And like, I don't need two of them to come out to tell me it's the final rose.
Yeah.
It's like, that's one person can say that. So like,
I think there's so much we're not seeing with them.
Yeah, like maybe they cut it out. I don't know. I just want to see more of them. So that's all I got this week.
A lot to unpack as always.
Yeah. Well, make sure to tune in every Tuesday on our YouTube channel for Here for the Right Reasons. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.